Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, your global look at news from Taiwan. I'm your host, Alec McDonald. All of us use it, but not all of us enjoy it. It's social media. Once thought to be a strength for democracy and to build human connections, research has continued to show that social media harms human relationships and can hurt democracy. And now, social media faces a new challenge as artificial intelligence threatens to turbocharge problems like misinformation, scams, and deepfakes. But can social media work differently? Can it be a source for good? Our guest today, Audrey Tang, says yes. Audrey is Taiwan's Cyber Ambassador at Large and a Senior Advisor for the Mozilla Foundation. Audrey, welcome to the show.
Very happy to be here.
You've recently joined the Mozilla Foundation as a Senior Advisor. For those unfamiliar, can you introduce the Mozilla Foundation and what your role there will be?
Mozilla has been around for more than 2 decades now. For many, it's the steward of the Firefox browser. For people working in AI, it hosts Common Voice, which is a dataset that includes more than 200 languages. So anyone speaking any language can contribute their voice to help the AI systems of the frontier models anywhere in the world to benefit from the ideas, the cultures, the local languages, and so on, without being constrained by just a few major languages. It includes not just the Taiwanese Mandarin or Taiwanese Hokkien, Daigi, but also the Taiwanese indigenous languages as well. And so through this kind of participatory input, Mozilla wants to prove that the internet becomes safer as it becomes more open. So just as in Taiwan, when we say we're making the state transparent to the people, not the people transparent to the state, Mozilla fights digital surveillance and so on, and builds tools that make the internet more robust through participation. For example, Roost is one of the projects that I help advise. What it tries to do is that it makes it very easy for anybody hosting any content site on internet to scan for child sexual abuse materials, non-consensual intimate images, and other harmful content in a way that preserves privacy and does not rely on any central provider, so that people can contribute into safety, again, like Common Voice, by donating the threat intelligences that they have scanned in their local places without compromising privacy.
You and your Plurality co-author, Glenn Weil, who was on the show last year, recently co-authored a paper on pro-social media, where you talk about some of the design issues with today's modern social media. So can you talk a little bit about what those design problems are and how you propose to address them?
The idea of pro-social media is that if you go to, for example, Wikipedia, you show a page, and that page represents the common ground of all the editors. And then you go to the talk page associated with that article, and it outlines the ongoing divisions, ongoing debates in a fair manner. And so the bridging content and the balancing content are the core of how Wikipedia depolarized the conversation online and built a neutral point of view. Now, extending that to social media, for example, there's community notes on X.com, on YouTube, on Facebook, and so on, and it allows people to contribute footnotes to the viral posts and to add missing context. But not all footnotes are shown by default. Only those notes that gets the upvotes from the left wing, from the right wing, into the up wing, so that it's upvoted by both sides, gets shown on community notes. So all these are examples of pro-social media. Take Bowling Green, Kentucky as an example. If you look at what could Bowling Green be, that is a pro-social media experiment endorsed by the mayors and many local leaders, and it engages almost 8,000 people. That's around 10% of their population. In regular town halls, sometimes you will feel that only the more extreme voices get a say. Or on the online anti-social corner of social media, you would feel that INBI and the NIMBY, they don't actually agree on any of the things. Yes, in my backyard, not in my backyard, and so on. However, in pro-social media, because we make viral the ideas that are bridging, that is to say, it bridges the differences between two different polarized camps, you see actually much more NIMBY, like maybe in my backyard, only if you do this or if you do that. You see much more nuanced statements. And if you look at the report, you can clearly see more than 70% of statements are actually highly agreed upon by the people. So people are not actually as polarized as people feel if you just look at the antisocial corner of social media. And this is because of a pro-social algorithm that we have been deploying in Taiwan since 2014 and now being spread over the world.
So in the face of tragedy, sometimes people have a heightened state of emotions, and this can lead to hostile conversations on social media. So how does your platform propose to address some of these conversations that go beyond civility, that become hostile?
Yeah, the idea is that in the antisocial corners of social media, it's engagement through enragement, because many of their algorithms prioritize content that builds addiction to the touchscreens. And it's just that people who held a megaphone from the more extreme positions tend to have more engagement with addiction. But in pro-social media, it's the other way around. As I mentioned, community nodes as well as polls function the same way. We only give the bridging bonus, the virality, to the uncommon ground. So if you belong to one extreme, your voice do not reach out that much. The algorithm, instead of prioritizing people on the extremes, holding megaphones on those hostile takes, as you were alluding to, pro-social media figures out what are the bridging ideas and give virality to those ideas.
I want to ask about anonymity, though. One thing that people have enjoyed since the foundation of the internet is the belief that they are anonymous. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that is a detriment, but sometimes that is helpful. If there is a very contentious idea around the world, there's a lot of policies right now that are very difficult or harming people. How can we still protect people's identities when they may feel afraid to speak out about a policy, but so that they can still engage in these platforms?
Indeed, if this is purely anonymous, you don't need to provide anything to contribute, then we will see a lot of malicious AI swarms just taking over. On the other hand, if this is real name only, then exactly as you said, the people suffering from power imbalance, vulnerable population, whistleblowers may not be able to speak up because they get doxxed. And so in the middle, it's what's called meronymity, which means partial name. Meronymity allows someone to prove, for example, that they're a resident of California without disclosing anything else. So depending on the topic, you can set different meronymous thresholds. And so you can rest assured that you're having a real conversation, a real deliberation with people who pass through this meronymous threshold, but you learn nothing else about them, and therefore no personal data was collected or kept.
So is this a method to address the proliferation of scams and AI deepfakes and disinformation that people could... Facebook Marketplace, for example, has many, many scams on it. It's generally engaged in communities, but people still pretend I'm logging in from California. So is this a method that could address some of those and create real connections and still protect people?
Indeed, in Taiwan, starting this year, we have mandatory KYC, Know Your Customer, for advertisers on Facebook and YouTube. And so there's no advertisements on Facebook that did not have this kind of meronymous digital signature that disclose where it comes from. Actually, just a couple of weeks ago, there's a couple advertisements posted on Facebook without such KYC. Maybe they didn't do the geofencing well and was promptly fined by the Taiwanese Ministry of Digital Affairs, thanks to an Anti-Fraud Act that we passed. And the Anti-Fraud Act itself was a crowdsourced piece of law that includes contributions from 450 people randomly selected around Taiwan that put together these recommendations as proportional.
You recently joined the AI Advisory Group on Elections, or AI Age. So I want to ask you, what are some of the greatest risks to elections from AI that you see in the field right now?
So what we have seen around the world is that the people who want to meddle and interfere with elections have moved on from disinformation, which is intentionally fake content, into malicious AI swarms, which is fake people. So the difference is that those fake people don't need to post any fake content. They just post like real news, share their feelings, resonate with each other's feelings, but it's all fake. So when you click into one of those fake people, you can see something that looks like organic engagement. What it's trying to do is a vibe attack. it reassociates certain ideas, certain political figures with a positive valence so that people like them more, and the other kind of political ideas and figures with a negative valence so people see them as not newsworthy or trollish or things like that. And so through AI AGE, we put people who are in charge of elections worldwide, the policymakers, and the AI experts, so that they can learn from each other's best practices and implement, for example, meronymity and provenance, that is to say, to show the attribution of the different actors on social media and many other measures, so that we do not go to a surveillance state where the social media is monitored and real name is required for all posts in the name of protecting electoral integrity. But we also don't go into the malicious AI swarm chaos where you can see 50,000 real people that are actually deepfakes. So in the middle path, the narrow path, that is where we need the AI AGE, the two groups of policymakers and AI experts to figure out together.
AI safety is something that the big AI labs have really talked less and less about over the past year. But what are some of the tools that you are designing to improve the safety of AI and to develop some of these AI safety guardrails?
Well, in the Paris AI Summit, we launched as part of Mozilla Foundation in partnership with Project Liberty and Eric Schmidt's foundation and many other friends, Roost, the robust open online safety tools. And what it does is an open source foundational work so that smaller operators can detect and monitor child sexual abuse materials, non-consensual intimate images, the online harms that are being amplified by synthetic AI capabilities. AI used to be that if you synthesize some harmful images, you can easily see it's AI made, but now it's very difficult to tell it from the real thing, right? So as those harms goes decentralized, anybody can synthesize it with a phone or with a laptop. So must the defense to be decentralized as well. And so I think part of my work in Project Liberty and Mozilla and other places and in Roost is to prove that open source is actually better when it comes to safety.
To summarize, right now there is a lot of pessimism about the future and the future of social media and the internet specifically. But I get the sense you're actually very positive about the future. So can you share why you're so positive about the future of social media and the internet?
My optimism stems from in Taiwan, we have seen 10 years ago, we were at a very low trust and a very high polarization place. But now in Taiwan, even though that politically people may have different ideologies, we're now among the least polarized when it comes to various social dimensions, urban-rural, intergenerational, gender, ethnic, religion, and so on. And a lot of this is because that we have built a democracy that sees those external pressures, these vibe attacks, malicious AI swarms, and so on, as pressure that makes diamond. So as a diamond of democracy, we have actually became much more resilient and much more in solidarity when it comes to facing those external threats. So now as Bowling Green in Kentucky or in California or in Tokyo, many other democracies are waking up from the 10 years of bad dream triggered by the antisocial corner of social media and engagement through enragement. People are now pivoting to more pro-social algorithms so that we can, again, build a bridge and wake up collectively from the hallucination that we're extremely polarized. People are fed up with peak polarization, and it's time to move on.
Audrey, this has been really wonderful to talk to you. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Really happy to be here. Live long and prosper.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. For more stories from Taiwan Plus News, you can visit us on TaiwanPlus.com or our social media. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.